Oh, hello, and welcome to Al Dente Rigor Mortis. I'm your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the Stand for Evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow. Are you okay?
No.
Oh, it's gonna be okay, buddy. Don't worry.
This close to Halloween. No.
No.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. And tonight we have the final chapters of The Visitor from Curtisville, chapters 13 and 14. So yeah, I have a bone to pick with this story.
I figured, considering the somber opening.
So The Visitor from Curtisville, it's by Pratt 99. You can check it out at Creepypasta.wiki, along with all the other stories of the Curtisville series and by Pratt. Let's dive into this one, starting with our initial recommendations, because it is the final episode of The Visitor from Curtisville. We spent a month. I put a month of my life into reading this story.
Yes.
And after all that, I'm not going to recommend it.
I'm going to still partially recommend it.
Shocking. I don't think I'm going to recommend this one either.
Yeah.
We'll see if Mikey's positivity can help us.
We truly are cursed. We truly are doomed. Yeah, no, I'm very interested to see if you could sway it. I have there's a reason, obviously, why I'm not recommending this. And I have, we'll have to dive into it, because I like I said, I got some words about the story. But we should continue on, starting with the rundown. So, in this penultimate chapter, 13, we return to Terrapin Junction in Hogan's. I almost said Hogan's Bay, but that would also be accurate.
It
possibly.
Could be Gap Bay. Who knows?
Yeah, Hogan's Gap. Specifically, the new home of Anne McLaren, cousin of Lolly McLaren, whose family up and fled Curtisville in the dead of night some months ago to escape the shame of harboring such a troublesome child in Curtisville.
Hang on, is she the cousin?
As far as I knew, they were cousins. Based on what, then again, I'll get to it, because there is some conflicting details in her memory that is actually intentional in the story.
Okay.
Yeah, adoptive sister slash daughter, for the parents, versus a cousin, because her aunt and uncle would drop their possibly Lolly's parents and Anne's uncle and aunt possibly died, or just she moved from her mom and dad's to move with Anne McLaren.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. I thought that she was the sister.
Nope, it's mentioned in the story that she is a cousin.
Just the one line of referring to her as the little orphan Catskill cousin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Catskill, by the way, is a location in New York, so that because that's where Lolly came from.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the Catskill Mountains is the mountain range that goes through New York State.
I should let you continue, though. Please go.
Yes. And as far as Anne was aware, after her and her family moved out of Curtisville in the dead of night, and they moved to apparently Hogan's Gap. As far as they were aware, Lolly had been locked away in a facility to receive help after the whole situation with the trouble she caused in Curtisville, and the whole that middle school situation and all that stuff. We get Anne and her family's side of the story through Anne's recent memories of events. However, to Anne's horror, these memories are conflicting with other versions of Anne, with other versions of events, and Anne starts freaking out as she fears someone, possibly Lolly, is changing reality as she perceives it. Anyway, we move on to the Churka Girls, TM.
Yep.
Or rather, we read an excerpt from Tulagok's journal of the events after we last saw them in the previous chapters. Looking around in their home for the demon and the book and mirror to no avail. This doesn't calm them much, though, and they decide to head somewhere else to sleep for the night for safety. Back to Anne McLaren. She needs to speak to someone for comfort, like trying to grip with her, having to come to grips with her reality and like trying to like figure out what's real and what's not. However, when she tries her cell phone, she finds that it's not working. So she tries a landline down the hall. Either in the same building or over at the Bartleshoff Arms Hotel, two goblin rockers staying for the festivals that are going on in town are smoking out on their hotel veranda and hear a strange noise and scream from the bushes below, like someone being attacked. It starts creeping them out, but things go quiet and the goblins decide to just, go to sleep for the night. We then move to the final chapter, 14, where we are back with Anne McLaren, who goes down the hall to a landline and through phone operators gets a hold of Ellery's residence. Ellery being the kid that started all this with like telling the story about Lolly McLaren in the middle school situation back in the first couple of chapters. Anne was hoping to speak with Ellery, but only gets her mom instead, as Ellery is sleeping. The mom then spends the whole phone call talking to Anne and telling her about how Ellery and her friends got into several accidents a week ago, again, mentioned by Ellery in previous chapters. However, we get a little bit more detail on that situation, revolving around a truck carrying fairy fish that splashed poop water all over them as they were heading to the video store when it swerved and hit Lolly McLaren. We also find out that Ellery's story from earlier, the whole middle school situation thing, was about 3 years ago. So we actually get a proper timestamp on that. Anne processes that her cousin was not only out of the facility that they had put her in, but that she had died about a week ago from this accident. Also, it turns out that Anne's family's fears of shame was unwarranted, as no one in Curtisville seems to blame them for Lolly's various bad behaviors, and so that the name of McLaren apparently wasn't besmirched like they thought it was. Then finally, after some more talking, Ellery's mom is about to hang up since it's getting rather late in the night, but gives Anne a warning that Lolly might come back as a reanimated corpse, since the same gross fairy fish poop that spilled over Ellery and her friends from the truck accident has reanimating properties, which may have contaminated Lolly's corpse at the scene of the incident. We then cut back to the Bartleshoff Arms Hotel again, where a disembodied hand, maybe Lolly's, or whoever was getting attacked by something in the bush, is slipping through a basement window from the bushes. Then we get a whole little scene of two magic professor colleagues staying at the hotel in separate rooms, dealing with a ghost hand, harassing them, and the two seeking one another's rooms for safety. Finn! No, seriously, that's how it ends. That's the end of the story.
Yeah, it doesn't end so much as it stops, unfortunately.
Yep. Sorry, I just had to take a cup of coffee there.
Cup of quote-unquote coffee.
He's
just like taking a shot of whiskey.
Yeah. It is a very stiff coffee. So, with that out of the way, with that, very clear-cut rundown out of the way, I suppose we should move on to everyone tolerates the Grammar Inquisition at this point. Chapter 13. Her parents had let her chose it herself since she was now 15. So I think it should be her parents had let her choose it herself.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing I have here. Suddenly, she felt a surge of fury race through her. And yet, what does that freak get for causing all that pain and heartache? The teen's grim musing continued. So, in this bit, we kind of we get a description of what, of how Anne is thinking, and then we get her actual thoughts. And the way it's written in the story, it is in italics, like whole sections of this. But it was barely noticeable.
Oh, shit, it is. You're right.
As is the way of the formatting. I'm not blaming the author. This is a format situation with like how italics appears, and I do really feel like this kind of thing could have been done like maybe in like brackets or with quotes rather than just using italics, because I was kind of getting confused as to like what was thought and what wasn't.
What was thought and what was not.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just, and that's like a little thing like throughout this part of the story was because like it's like an inner monologue that's happening. But on to my last thing for chapter 13. So after we were done laughing and opening some of the windows, we got something too refreshing to drink. So not to critique a personal journal, but I'm going to do that since it's fictional. Remove two between something and refreshing, so it's like we got something refreshing to drink.
Maybe it was too refreshing and it needs like an extra O.
Maybe that could also
It's
be it.
overkill of
We got
refreshment.
something too refreshing to drink. Yeah. It could have been that. I don't think so, but it could have been.
Nestea, take the plunge.
Except it's cocoa. It's hot cocoa they're drinking.
Oh, damn. Is that what that was?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's hot cocoa that they drink.
Oh, damn.
Really refreshing. Hot cocoa.
I have a critically silly moment here.
Go for it.
We got something too lantula to drink.
It's too lava, too lantula. Oh, God. Lava Lantula is such a gem. And its sequel.
You could call it that, sure.
I'm not saying it's good. It's a good
okay,
gem.
yeah.
It's more like one of those like topaz or like a tiger's eye gems.
It's
like
a topaz yellow? Fuck you.
Fine, agate. It's green. Fuck me, I guess. Also, it's appropriate to the story because Moon Agate Beach.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Anyway. Also, technically, Tiger's Eye, I think, is also yellow to a degree. Anyway. Yeah. Critically silly.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, Mikey, do you have anything for chapter 13 for Grammar Inquisition?
Nope, that was it.
Okay. Gamer, do you have anything for chapter 13?
Nope. Spoilers, I didn't find any grammar issues in these two chapters.
Wow, you just typo-neezed over everything?
Apparently, yeah.
Fair. Well, then, we'll move on to chapter 14. If it wasn't witchcraft that was she using to spirit away the things, then she was working for some really sophisticated group of cat burglars like you see in movies like Ocean's 11. So, first off, really run-on sentence. Well, semi-run-on sentence. I'm not going to be that harsh.
It's getting close, but
it is pushing it, yeah. But also the actual like issue here at hand is if it wasn't witchcraft that she was using to spirit away the things.
Instead of was she using.
Yeah, so like just like the words have to be swapped.
Yes.
And then a similar situation, plus something else, is in my next quote here. Some people were saying they were even elves. How else they were getting in and out without leaving a trace. I heard we got a lot elf smugglers around here from the high elf side of the family. So first off, again, another swap where it's like, how else were they getting in and out, blah, blah, blah. And then secondly, in the second sentence that I mentioned here, I heard we got a lot of elf smugglers around here.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one I have, that makes sense and would explain a lot. I think you could probably remove the second makes. So it's that. Oh no, it's remove the first makes. So it's that kind of makes sense and would explain a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then my last grammar inquisition for this chapter and the entire story. Well, they reached the other side of the intersection, and the lorry was making a left turn. Then, all of a sudden, Lori darted out into the middle of the crosswalk. So I think the second Lori in this story, in these sentences, is supposed to be Lolly, because Lolly's the one that darts out into the middle of the crosswalk and gets hit by the car.
Oops.
Yeah, but it's obviously a very, very simple mistake because like Lori and Lolly are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, they're both the size of a truck.
Oh, gamer!
Hey,
you were getting sick of everyone else like beating this head like horn.
Exactly. Like, I mean, everyone else makes fun of her, so I should do it once.
If you can't beat them, join them.
Everyone hates Lolly, apparently.
Oh man, I got yeah. But yeah, so that's the end of my grammar inquisition for chapter 14. Mikey, do you have anything?
I have a conjunction junction.
All right.
And next stop, Conjunction Junction. Doot, doot.
Chapter 13, A Restless Night. It was now midnight, but Anne was far too giddy and restless to sleep. It had been an exciting and wonderful evening. It was really nice to finally see Mom as her easygoing self once again, and not fretting about the work still in progress at their new place, or whether or not the darkness that had once enveloped all their lives back in Curtisville would suddenly pull up stakes and follow them here. And yet, what does that freak get for causing all that pain and heartache? But what's the point of caring for this supposed human who is actually lower than a human or even a deer tick?
Wow, she's really talking shit about her mom, by the way.
Yeah, no, seriously.
The last subject was her mom being happy, and now she's just like, it sounds like she's talking shit about her.
This subhuman. Most teens like are uppity about their moms are usually that batch.
Mm-hmm.
But man, this is like a creative. Anyway, I'm sorry. Move on.
It was like there was someone else thinking right through me. 2. Excerpt from Telegac's journal. 6/20/3273. And then, when it was all done, it simply shut off the flashy disco light show and hopped back into its box to join the rest of its slumbering chums. But nothing scary happened, other than Henry letting out this big, loud fart. But at least she doesn't make this pure death stench like Grandma's dog. But it was so funny, too, and it helped us get over much of our jitteriness. So, after we were done laughing and opening some of the windows, we got something too refreshing to drink.
Too refreshing to drink. Coming this summer, too refreshing to drink. Oh man, this drink's too refreshing to drink.
I can't drink this.
Yeah. I guess I'm gonna just die.
Yeah.
Witness the horror of this. So, okay, I'll stop. Oh, the next one I think is actually going to tie in really well with the previous thing. Sorry.
So we each had a cup of cocoa, and at 12 we had another look around. Or maybe it hasn't left. So after we collected some blankets and pillows and settled down at a comfortable treehouse for some long overdue sleep. 3, 4.
Is it 3 or 4?
3, 4. Just moving on like nothing.
Yep. It soon came again, the unmistakable high-pitched squeals of distress, or making sobs and pleas like a condemned man. It's just an animal finally meeting its maker, nothing at all to worry about. Chapter 14. What Little Remains. 1. Terrapin Junction, Zelmac District of Hogan's Gap, 12:56 a.m. It's a type of fairy fish, very popular in human world aquariums, although personally, I wouldn't want one in my fish tank. It's a defense mechanism, and this lorry truck lost control and spilled its load, coating everyone with stinky fish poop. It's like being in a horror movie. Clueless modern family unwittingly moves into a new house that's possibly haunted. Only it's not some deformed killer or demonic boogeyman doing the haunting, but a kid, a crazy idiot kid. And when he eventually found that board, along with those demonic symbols on the wall, as well as those half-melted candles, we then realized that the problem was far more bigger than a mere wildlife problem. And then there was the spree of things going missing, first at the school, then around the neighborhood. So how did she get caught? It needed constant attention, just like Lolly. It's really late. So what happened exactly? So she's dead? But the somberness in her voice was not reflected in her eyes. And it's used as a powerful perfume fixative, as well as antibacterial dyes, pollutant traps for sewage treatment plants, and creating furniture and super strong silk-like fabrics. So my friends are eventually going to turn into ravenous, flesh-eating zombies? But if I were you, I would bolt the windows and lock the doors, and should you hear a familiar voice pleading to come in, ignore it.
Wow, so that just confirmed that yes, they are going to become flesh-eating zombies. This is her own daughter, by the way, too, because like Ellery and her friends.
It's true.
Yeah.
2, 1:30 a.m. It soon flooded the interior with soft silvery rays, revealing nothing above the hands, just ragged, torn, dripping stumps. 3:45 a.m. It's after me. It chased me right out of bed and out of my room. It attacked me. So go sprinkle it with some of Snarvo's special spirit repellent. Chant a few protective spells, and call me when you have completely collected your senses.
God, I love the magically mundane side of this world.
Yeah.
Just use a bit of sprinkle a bit of Snarfle's spirit repellent.
Yeah, you can buy it over at Balthazar Bazaar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that franchise general store is practically like a 7-Eleven in this world.
Mhm.
It takes the right hand of a gibbeted criminal to make such a device. And anyway, gibbeting went out of fashion centuries ago. Or ascending. So, I suppose she's after me because of that. So, what are we going to do about it? But, right now, I'm more worried about the uninvited guest. Or perhaps even a rat. It felt like Finn.
It felt like what?
It felt like the end of the story.
It felt like dead.
Or it felt like Finn. Maybe it's like a shark.
Oh. So that's something that Mikey added to the thing, so it doesn't count.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Rip. But for those unaware, Mikey grabs all the sentences throughout a story that start with words that they probably shouldn't, like its, ends, or buts. Puts them into a story with sometimes hilarious results. Basically, to highlight that there's always better words to use.
Yeah, and for example, like when the story itself, like the mom says, "No, your friends won't become zombies because they're still living. It only the fairy fish poop water only affects the dead matter, or like
Yes.
dead things." But in this story, in the version that we get from Mikey's like conjunction junction here, the mom's effectively just like, yes, no, they're totally gonna turn to zombies. Barricade your doors and windows.
Yes.
Don't let them in. Well, that's what we've done. Like our poor daughters, a goner. But yeah. So Gamer, do you have anything for chapter 14?
I do not.
All right, let's dive into the meat and potatoes of this episode with actual thoughts then, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Gonna start with chapter 13, A Restless Night. A Restless Night is right. This has been one of the busiest evenings in Hogan's Gap, surely.
A little bit.
This entire story has all been over one night, like over like maybe like a handful of hours.
Wait, is that? Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah, no, like because this has been like multiple like stories from multiple different people all in the same night.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I digress. That was just like the first thing, like I had to comment about the names for these last chapters specifically.
Mm.
But I'll dive into the actual quote I have here to start off things. Funny, she thought, how it took a series of disasters and near tragedies in order for the rest of the family to open their dream-misted eyes and see Lolly for what she really is, a lying, hateful sneak thief and murderous witch. Don't say gross weeb. Don't say gross weeb. Don't poke fun at her otaku-ness. Was what I was thinking the whole time. Like somebody started like ripping into her character.
Yeah, of course.
Also. Oh shit! Maybe this is why Lolly was heading into Hogan's Gap to find the rest of her family, who had fled her and her curse. Apparently, that was what I was thinking. Like maybe that was the actual objective as to why she was going to Hogan's Gap this whole time. Was actually like she hunting down her family. Update? Maybe not. It's not resolved. And that's sort of a touching point for these chapters for me.
Does it say that her family like left without her?
Yeah, yes, that's exactly what it says. Like through what Anne is saying, like they fled in the middle of the night from Curtisville and like basically started new lives in Hogan's Gap because they were ashamed of what Lolly had done to the McLaren name in Curtisville. Like they were afraid that people were like going to shun the whole family for like Lolly's reputation. That's why it comes. It's sort of like something like when Anne finds out from Ellery's mom that like no the family like no one blames the McLarens. But yeah, that's just yeah. Again, there's some things that again. I'll keep going.
Where's the line that says that they left? I just
Hang on,
want to see it myself.
I gotta find it.
Because I didn't gather that at all.
It's sort of it's hinted at, but it is definitely clear in there. At least for me. Where is here?
Oh, they tried it, but to no avail. She was already lost to the abyss, and after she ended up in juvie, they just up and moved away suddenly in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
But I thought that was referring to her original parents.
No.
That they like sent her to juvie, and then they're just like, "Fuck this, we're out." And then when she's out of juvie, she gets adopted to a foster home.
No, that wasn't. Hang on. Suddenly, she felt a surge of fury race over her face, and yet, what does that freaking teen get? Oh yeah. So this like that. So no, like the Anne and her family, like they moved from Curtisville after like the whole like situation with Lolly. But then we get like Anne also like remembers about like how Lolly, like her family, being so much trouble and heartache and stuff like that. One-way trip back to so she took she was saying like, oh, what'd she get in return? Did she go back to New York State, a permanent vacation, tending the flowers at some sanitarium? No, instead, this bug-eyed plague rat gets a year in juvie, followed by followed by hours of community service and a therapist visit twice a week. Still living with us, I'm afraid. Because mom and dad still care too damn much to throw her out on her arse.
So she is living with Anne.
She was, and then
so Anne that is her sister.
Yeah, no, her cousin
living with us.
Yeah, it was living with them, and then there's a mention of like they left in the dead of night without her. I fucking remember reading this.
Yeah.
Am I being gaslit? God damn it.
One of us is. Because I was under the impression that Anne was her sister. Because way early on, when Lolly's first getting introduced in the story at school, she mentions, like after she's getting yelled at by the principal, she mentions her sister, Sylvia, who plays violin. And has a twin brother named Thomas who plays soccer. And then in this section, Anne says that I don't know why she calls me Sylvia. She said it so much I was starting to believe it.
So I think this, and okay, you know what? This is actually, this part here actually ties, I think, into my next comment, which is about that, where like we get that part where for most of the first part of this chapter, it's Anne like bitching about her cousin Lolly, and then it's like, wait, no, like why? Or then she was talking about like, I'm not Sylvie, I'm like I have a brother or something like that. It's like where do I got here? From far away came the faint keening sound of sirens. She listened, blinking against the heavy blackness that surrounded the bed. The sounds soon faded. The silence crept back once more. Wendale Sanitarium, she said aloud. Why did I ever think of that name? Lolly's locked away in Semperviren's facility down in Uniontown. She's heavily medicated and stuffed in a straitjacket. No freaking way is she getting out. It was like there was someone else thinking right through me. So
but she's not in a sanitarium. She's oot and a boot.
Exactly. That's what I was getting to. Is like, is this story gaslighting me or the characters or both? Like, and that's kind of something that we get later, a little bit later, because like suddenly the next time we see Anne, she's like gripping with like her own reality. Like I was like, and like as to like what her memories are and stuff like that. And that's why she needs to talk to somebody like Ellery. So it was like, is this what's her name? Is this Lolly's power? Like the whole like Psi-honer thing that we were talking about earlier? Like her she's altering reality, or she's altering memories in people, like effectively gaslighting people.
Oh, she has that perk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's got that ability or that trait.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like because later on in the story we get Anne, and it's like, gods, I must be losing my mind, although I'm probably not the only one. Living with Lolly, or whatever the hell her name is, would certainly do that to you. I wonder why she kept calling me Sylvia. Hell, she almost got me believing that I was someone else, that I played violin and had a twin brother named Thomas who played soccer. So she
so
is
that whole
experiencing.
that whole line is also why I thought she was the sister, because like she has been living with Lolly this whole time.
Yeah, but it's clearly that like she's not, like she like there or she like living with Lolly, like she is being affected by like her whatever psychic power Lolly has of like basically like altering her her reality, her perception of reality to fit Lolly's delusion, I think.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if the cousin part is part of that alteration, because cousin is only mentioned once in this entire story.
But then Anne also refers to Lolly's mom and dad as uncle. Oh yeah, like oh yeah, you're right. Like there's
We don't
like,
know that that's Lolly's
I know.
mom and dad.
Again, so this last the point I'm kind of getting here, or the point that I have I take away from this is in this penultimate chapter, everyone's getting gaslit.
Yeah, kind of. We're getting a whole bunch of new characters, a whole bunch of new information, and not a whole lot's getting answered.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, what the hell? Like what's going on here? Yeah, and actually, even that's kind of like one of the other things I have here is again the talk about like grabbing her cell phone. She flipped it open and shakily dialed the numbers. She was greeted by a static crackling and hisses of white noise. Crap, and cursed to herself. Crappity crappity crap. Magical interference. Should have known this was going to happen. And to this whole section, like again, this whole section and chapter really is. I really feel like Anne and Lolly's family should have been mentioned much earlier in the story than the second to last chapter.
Yeah, because all we got early on was Lolly has parents, and she has a brother and sister, quote unquote, named Sylvia and Thomas.
Yeah.
And then, that was in like chapter 2 or something, or 3.
Yeah. Like,
and then 13, we get a whole bunch of new names.
Like, honestly, part of me kind of wishes, like, this is another thing about the whole story as a whole, that Anne and Ellery were just one character. Like,
what?
It got
called Ellery's mother.
Yes, that's my problem. I hate the whole phone call with the mom. Because
Why?
It took away the second part of the story that Ellery was trying to get to as to, like, why she wanted to curse. Like, it convoluted the entire fucking story. Like,
I mean, yes, but I don't see how that makes you think that Anne is Ellery.
No, I'm not saying Anne is Ellery. I'm saying from a writing point of view, Anne should not have existed. It should have just been Ellery telling us like this whole situation about the accident and some of that, rather than having a new character come in the second last chapter and hear from a second hand because Ellery, who was going to tell the story, is asleep, have it told from her mom's point of view, tell it to this other person. It's so convoluted and confusing from like a writing point, from a storytelling point of view. It's like, why couldn't Ellery have just told this to like Megra and Kess like later on or something like that?
Yeah, because like they got kicked off the beach, so they all just like quietly packed up and left, and that was the end of it.
Exactly. That's my fucking issue, man.
I'm with you. It's okay. Don't worry, buddy.
It's like and don't get me wrong, I was like digging the story, except the way it just fucking fumbles the landing at the very end by like introducing new characters to tell the rest of the story. It's like, no, you had characters that were perfectly adequate to introduce the rest of the story. We wanted the second part from Ellery, not from her mom and not with Anne.
Yeah. I mean, there were only like 75 characters, so we needed a few more to round it out.
I look forward to you telling me, like for you listing all the characters in this story, sir.
Yeah.
I have been waiting a week. All right. Let me try and navigate through my notes now that I've kind of gone back and forth with some of them. So
it'll be okay, buddy.
It's never going to be okay. Never again. All right. So we move away from Anne for me in chapter 13 to Tilagok's journal entry. So after Anne like freaking out about like somebody like thinking through her, or like basically giving her false memories and stuff. We get 2 excerpt from Tulagok's journal 6/20/3273. The Morath thingamajigger sure did its job well, spinning around like a psychedelic tornado on steroids and sucking up all of the dust bunnies, cobwebs, and other crap in long swirling clouds. And so this is basically like, while they like, this is at the events when the Churka Girls TM go downstairs and find that like everything's been tidied up by the Rose Prince and all that stuff.
Mm.
What was that? What's with that year? This is an excerpt from Tulagak's journal. First off, yeah, this is, why is this an excerpt from Tulagak's journal? Up to this point, I loved the date lines, like telling us like, or the scene titles, like for each every time we switch to a new scene, because it was very helpful. But then this one's an excerpt from somebody's journal. Have they all been?
Well,
Like,
no.
No, obviously not. But like, why did we need, like, this was not needed to be a journal entry. This could have just been how it's been before.
Yeah, because
like,
it was told first person, basically. Or no,
But, like-
like through a narrator, but yeah.
Yeah, but it didn't have to be. Yeah,
No,
like,
it
this-
didn't at all.
So first off this year, because I like, this is from the same time. Like, again, kind of rough. We never really get an actual like date of when the story takes place. So like, I was always assuming that it was like roughly in the modern calendar of when the story was written, like around 2013, or I think it was. But then I started thinking like, maybe this is like, because this is Tulagak's journal entry, maybe this 3273 is like fairy calendar. Or like the calendar for the realm of fairy, because they are kind of in they're in that section, they're in that stretch of the world, like the Zelmak district and all that stuff. So
That's true. They don't necessarily have the exact same journal as us.
yeah, like and you see that a
Or
lot
not
in
journal,
like when
calendar. Bleh.
yeah, like dates and times and stuff that are often like different when you cross between dimensions, like because they're not gonna share the same calendar necessarily as like our dimension.
Hmm.
But regardless, it was just kind of like, it's like what and then, like, why is this a journal entry? Why is that date? I have so many questions that are never answered. Also, while we're here, did the Churka Girls TM plot point go anywhere? Or even really connect to the main story?
Yes, because Tulagak summoned the Rose Prince. She brought him into the main like realm of the story, so then he can go around perving on Kess and stuff like that.
If that was the case, then I really feel like that should have been introduced right at the beginning of the story rather than like throughout it, because it really felt like, yeah, she summoned him, but only for an instant, like halfway through the story. Like he was already there doing stuff, and then because he was sort of already there in the story doing stuff before he got summoned to Tulagak and Kiki's house.
Are these
So-
actually in chronological order, though?
According to the times, yeah, it was.
There's times, but no dates, though.
I assumed it was all the same day.
You would
It
assume, right?
it better have fucking been all the same night.
Yeah, because if that's the case, then yeah, it's just extra side information.
Yeah, and it, like if the Tulagak thing was not even in the same like date, like it was not even on the same night, and it was like, we need that information early on. We need clarity on that.
Yeah,
Because otherwise, the whole plot line of Tulagak and Kiki and at her grandmother's place in the Zolmak district of Terrapin Junction in Hogan's Gap is just another story within this story that doesn't need to be here.
unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah,
If it's meant to be like the moment where he got brought here so he can go fuck with people, then fine. But
Yeah.
then we need times and dates to show that.
exactly. Yeah, like it's
Or that should be a story being told to us by Ellery, saying like, "Oh, well, back a few months ago, this is what happened." You know,
yeah, like
This
my
girl did this.
friend Tulagak or my friend Kiki told me this story that they'd been meddling with a grimoire.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have. Yeah, like that again. If that had been part of like Ellery's story, again, this whole kind of what I'm getting at is a lot of the story should have all like we should have continued focusing on like Ellery telling her story of like why she wants to get revenge on Lolly, rather than just have it like just shotgun blasted across the story.
A little bit.
And then the last thing I have for the Churka Girls TM, and the last thing I have for chapter 13, honestly, is so after we collected some blankets and pillows and settled down at a comfortable treehouse for some long overdue sleep. What? Whose treehouse? Are the neighbors going to wake up the next morning to the grandmother and her two granddaughters in their kids' tree fort out back?
Why can't the grandma have a treehouse?
I guess, but like it's never mentioned earlier. Like we get like Bartles off Arm Hotel. Like go stay there, or like is like a comfortable treehouse. Like is that like a place like a motel or like some kind of like a place that you can like rent out a room for a night kind of thing? Like
with a chain called Comfortable Treehouse.
Yeah, I mean, you laugh, but like in the Pacific Northwest, those actually do exist.
Oh, I know. I just meant like with the naming like that.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I could also imagine somebody doing that. Like, oh, welcome to Comfortable Treehouses. It's like a KOA. It is a KOA, right? No.
I don't know what it is. What's a KOA?
Mikey, the KO. It's called the KOA, right? Those like little like cabin rental places, camping grounds.
The camping grounds. Yeah.
Yeah. That we have here near like locally. Yeah. But yeah, so that's all I got. It's just like, where's this like, okay, now they're going to a treehouse. Okay. All right. Go away, Chilligok, and the rest of your plot line, you're done. Go home, you're drunk. Like I wish I was. I wish I was Fruak.
You could be.
I could. But yeah, Mikey, do you have anything for chapter 13?
Well, I like that we finally get the end of the story of Chilligok.
He's just like, finally.
And then, yeah, I sort of agree. Like we don't need new characters this late in the game.
Yeah. Also, regarding Chilligok's story, I don't hate it. It needed to be its own story.
You just hate that it's not connected to anything.
Yeah, it's not connected.
It's
to
just
the story.
a floater.
So, but it would have done well had it been like combined to get like all of its bits have been combined together to make their own like smaller short like or shorter story. Like it would have worked better on its own versus how it was like kind of distributed through this story, because it really, aside from the Rose Prince being summoned, it really doesn't make any sense to be here. But anyways, back to Mikey. Sorry.
Yeah, well, the Rose Prince being summoned is, again, part of Chilligok's story, which is why it's in the overall story. So, I mean, the fact that we get closure that they, went downstairs and everything was fine was like, everything's fine. I'm still scared. Let's go
somewhere else tonight. Let's stay somewhere else tonight, just in case the boogeyman's still hiding around.
Yeah.
I guess to that point, yeah, but it's just like, yeah, okay, I'm done.
Like, I can see the point. Like, it could have been part of the previous Chilligok section.
Yeah,
to just close it off earlier, because I mean, it doesn't really add much of anything other than closure.
Or hear me out. It could have also all these parts could have been collected to their own chapter. Like it could have been like chapter, like maybe early on, like chapter like 2 or something like that. Chilligok's or like Kiki and Chilligok play with a grimoire or something like that. And like then we get the whole like story kind of, because the way it's told in the story, like yeah, like it's interesting that it's like told like fragmentedly throughout the story. But like by the end here, it's just like, okay, that was a thing that happened. Do we really need to like have that dispersed? Sorry, I'm still on it. I'm still beating this dead Lycorn.
A little bit, yeah.
That's gonna be my new phrase. Instead of beating a dead horse, beating a dead Lycorn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't have much to say about chapter 13.
Okay. Gamer.
Yep. Okay. So, as I said before, we're nearing the end of the story. So I was expecting there wouldn't be any new characters because we couldn't possibly need any more. Wow. Such a maniacal laugh. But yeah, paragraph 1 of chapter 13, they added 5 characters to the list. I'm like, oh man, I don't know why I didn't see this coming. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
There's just so many.
And they added it like even more, like at the very like to the bitter end.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like later on in chapter 13, there's a couple of goblins added at a hotel. What was the purpose of that? There's more goblins.
I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna lie. I did actually like that scene. First off, we don't get their names, so they're just like some civilians. Oh, you're right. We do get Neff and all that. Yeah.
It's Ruben and Neff.
Yeah, but they're just like passerby. They're just like citizens, just like basically seeing a situation in the story, and it was kind of interesting. It was kind of creepy too, because it was actually like a genuinely kind of creepy thing, because it's like you're just like out on your veranda and you just see something horrible happen out in the bush. It's like, let's go to bed. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, but what even happened out there? We never got closure exactly on that.
I have a theory as to what that is.
Okay.
But again, the story is left so vague that it's like really hard to like figure out. Is that in chapter 13?
Yeah.
Okay. So my theory, and again, I'm just going off of what I've read in the last month on this story, and because the story does not actually confirm any of this, but I predict that was Lolly finally like transforming into or decomposing to the point where she just has her hands. Like I think that's what the hand apparition from like in chapter 14 is as well, is like it's Lolly's remains.
And
either
I figured
she was
that much. I didn't know if they like fell off and her body was doing something else, or if that's all that's left.
Well, it says like they're like ragged stumps, so like I almost wonder if like maybe the Rose Prince left from the Tulagok's like resident, like Tulagok and Kiki's place and such. And then again, there is also the idea that we've kind of formulated or theorized that like Rose Prince and Ruby Rose, the wolf animal companion, are the same creature.
Probably.
So, and that's what Lolly was who Lolly was looking for, while she was like also kind of like falling apart and kind of like decomposing. So I have a theory that maybe this was like what the goblins heard in the brush was basically the Rose Prince. If he was what Lolly made deals with, he was getting the rest of his of what they made a deal with. So basically, like he ripped her apart to get her soul. And so, but because she was doused with that stuff like a week ago, she's now been reanimated. Or so like that's so like her soul's gone, like she's gone, but now her bits of her are like wandering around animated.
Well, based on how the story says she died from the truck accident.
I know.
Everything after that, she was like in the story, she was thinking, and like we had like shots of like listening to her thoughts and stuff. So would she be able to think and stuff like that if she's undead?
Well, here's the thing. I also have words on that whole situation, but that's mentioned. Okay. I think that's mentioned in chapter 14.
Yes, I believe so. So we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
But I'll go back to 13 regarding the end of it. Sorry, the end of chapter 13, part 1, rather, with like the confusing memories of people who don't exist.
Yeah.
Considering the previous entries where like with Lolly running around, I wonder if the original memories that Anne was having were the real ones, and her mind is just slipping from the exposure of living with Lolly. So like these new people that she's mentioning are actually not the real ones, and the original ones are the real ones. I don't know because of all the gaslighting happening.
Yeah, and I mean we were told in actually I think the last chapter or the previous couple of chapters by the Gray Man / Dragon Daddy.
Don't call him Daddy.
Fuck you, I do what I want.
Yeah.
That they had to get rid of her. Maybe that's where they were maybe that's who ripped her apart in the brush, were those were those demons. They went off because they flew off to like go like at the order of their dad at the end of that thing with Kess to possibly go deal with something. So maybe they actually went off to go like go fix things and take care of Lolly.
Maybe.
If that isn't what happened. But anyway, so the thing I was saying, the dragon dad demon guy did say like, oh, we need to deal with this person, especially since she's like a threat to reality. Like
This is true.
So yeah, like I think that's where. So we are again, like she's a Psi-honer kind of thing. Like it's like that's where I was like, oh, is this what like her Psi-honer ability is? Like basically, it makes people around her like get false memories, or like it shifts reality to like her whim, basically, like kind of like Scarlet Witch.
Mm. But like, why didn't we get a scene of this?
I know.
Especially
Why?
like the penultimate scene of like, okay, Lolly is being killed. She is not a person anymore. That seems like it's an important scene if she's getting killed by dragons.
I think I mentioned in my notes later, we needed another chapter. Like it feels like a chapter or two is missing.
Yeah, kind of. But
Yeah.
Either way, regarding the confusing memories and stuff, it did say earlier as well that Lolly causes people to become fatigued, depressed, and lower cognitive abilities. So it's possible that what she originally thought was true and now it's not true. I don't know. I can't trust this character because
no, yeah. And if anything, this gives credence to the fact that again that like when people were saying that like Lolly is a psychic vampire or is like a Psi-honer or a siphoner, like I thought how I misread Psi-honer.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I feel like Anne though in this last bit is like who am I? Where are we?
Yeah, a little bit. But that's all I got for 13, so we can move on.
All right. On to the silly enough named Chapter 14, What Little Remains. I beg to differ, story. A lot remains to be read and seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm very passionate.
I could tell.
Like I really liked this story.
Mm-hmm.
Up to the end. So I'm going to start with my quote here that I have. She's asleep now, and it's too late to be calling her anyway. I know, Anne blushed and spoke hurriedly. Sorry, I'm just really worried about her. I heard there had been an accident, or there had been a terrible accident a week ago. A bunch of kids getting in a wreck. Well, yes, it was a wreck, the woman told her. But they just witnessed it. My daughter was with a group of friends, and they were crossing the main avenue in order to get to a video store. So again, like I said earlier, I think I kind of wish that this had been part of the story we got from Ellery, not secondhand from her mother. Like I think we were mentioning last episodes, like, oh man, I can't wait for the second like part of Ellery's story, like Kess's. Like Kess never gets this story, never gets this. Like this was sort of like where that first part of that story was leading up to was the accident that she had like a week ago with her friends. And now we're getting it from Ellery's mom because Ellery went to like I guess came home after the beach party and went to sleep. And this new character, Anne, calls her up to like talk to her and gets her mom, and the mom is now relaying the information.
Are you sure that Ellery was like part of the accident? Because like when Anne called and asked if Ellery was okay, Ellery's mom said no, she just witnessed it happening.
That's what I said.
Yeah, but she wasn't part of the accident. She didn't get hit by the poo stuff.
But people,
the fish poo.
No, she was. Yeah, they all like her and her friends got splashed by the fish poop.
Oh yeah. That's why she was asking if they would change or not. But no, they have to be dead.
Do not gaslight me, please.
No, the story is gaslighting me. I'm trying to understand what's real and what's not.
Yeah, we're all Anne here. All right, moving on to the next thing I have, which is still about the story that we're being told by the mother to Anne. Well, they just had to, Well, they had just made it across, and there was this lorry coming with this load of amphibious sucker stinkfish. What? Said Anne, startled. Amphibious sucker stinkfish, the woman explained. It's a type of fairy fish, very popular in human world aquariums. Although personally, I wouldn't want I wouldn't want one in my fish tank. Oh, why's that? Anne asked blankly. Yes, let's stop the urgency of this call with small talk about fucking fairy fish.
Jesus.
I was like, it broke the flow of like the conversation and like the narrative. Like it's like with this like kind of awkward explanation about like the fairy fish and like how this mother like, I guess
It's pertinent to the plot though.
Yeah, it just bugged me.
Yeah,
like how it just stopped. It stopped the story flat to explain something that was just kind of seemed superfluous.
seemed. But previously in this story, there has been scenes where people are talking and then they talk about some side thing that actually has no connection to the story at all. At least this does connect to it.
That is true. And also this, I will also confess, this does also kind of emulate how at least like my mom gets stuck on the phone for a half hour with small talk. So it definitely like emulates that. In fact, even the dad's like, all right, get off the phone. Like you've been on that for like half an hour.
Yeah.
But I'll move on to the next thing I have here. Followed them everywhere they went, trying to be their best friend. And when that didn't work, she then resorted to threats of blackmail and black magic spells. And honestly, blackmail and black magic spells, or blackmail and black magic, sounds like a good title for either its own story, a game scenario, probably in Shadowrun. Sorry, Mikey, or my high school ska band.
Or all the above.
Yeah, but I'll move on to the next thing I have here. I did not ever want to touch it because, unlike Sherlock, it didn't seem like a real dog, more like something cooked up in a mad scientist's lab, all a wrinkly, obese alien thing with bulgy eyes and a short, pushed-in face. So she's explaining her kind of disgust for pugs, and I'm just like, rude.
I mean, they are.
I mean, but they are. Yeah. I mean, they kind of are, but rude. Like, you look at like what a pug was like 100 years ago versus what they are like now. Like, it is sort of horrible what we've done to that breed, but still rude.
Have they changed over time?
Oh yeah, no. Pugs used to be a lot more healthy looking.
Oh.
Yeah, they actually used to have like a full snout, but they the way we bred them to have like this like horrible like smushed snout because it was cute.
Wow. We're just horrible people, aren't we?
I mean, yeah, humans are the worst.
Humans in general, yeah.
Yeah. But I digress. Like, again, it wasn't that bad. Like, it was, like at least she didn't mind the dog, but like, again, it wasn't like her like their dog that they liked that apparently Lolly murdered or like may have like caused to be murdered, like almost like a canary in a coal mine kind of thing. And that whole reference is because like I guess the dog could sense like how bad Lolly was or like whatever was in Lolly, and it basically gave the dog an aneurysm.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll move on to the next thing I have here. In the background, Anne heard a male voice. Oh, this is the dad. Male voice muttering drowsily. Annette, is this really necessary that you tell her everything? You can just go down to the local library, or she can just go down to the local library or look it up on the web. And then to this, I was like, or like, just don't tell her this. Like, she's been very liberal about how about her feelings and the details here regarding this whole story and situation to somebody that like she only like tangentially knows as like a friend of her daughter's, who, by the way, Anne is also lying to her that like about like her name, her true name, her real name.
Yeah.
So it's just like, again, it kind of emulates the chattiness that like moms sometimes have on the phone. Or at least like how they are sometimes portrayed in media. And again, like I can attest, my mom is very much like this on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just went on and on. And then the dad has like, and it's the middle of the night. Like fucking just like wrap it up. Let's go to bed.
Yeah.
But I'll move on to the next thing I have. So this is again the mom talking more about the situation and such. The driver braked and then tried swerving, but he ended up hitting her and then upsetting his load as he skidded into a tree. So she's dead, said Anne softly. Thank the gods for that. Now we don't have to worry about her trying to find us. Yet, yes, dragged along with the lorry, then buried under so much wreckage and what have you. Mrs. Wilcox confided. Really awful way to go, and to have no friends nor relatives to see to the funeral arrangements. Yes, really tragic, returned Anne gravely, but the somberness in her voice was not reflected in her eyes. Man, fuck these people! Like, I'm sorry. They
Yeah.
are absolutely callous to this girl. Even
Well, she's
if,
a weeb.
yeah, even if she is a reality altering villain that's made deals with devils, even if she's an otaku weeb that's super gross and unhygienic, like this really, like this section kind of really felt like this is like the villain origin for why Lolly goes bad.
Mm.
Like this, like all these people either couldn't show empathy for her or just outright were mean to her for like because she was different and like and there's something like obviously like socially wrong with her, like she had social issues. It was like, god damn, these people are so fucking mean.
Yeah.
Like I know like the story's like supposed to like propose them as like, oh, like they're the victims. Like no, Lolly is as much a victim in all of this. It seems.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I repeat, this whole bit of exposition should have been told by Ellery, at least in the second part of her story, to Megra and Kess, instead of introducing new characters for us to learn about in the last chapter. But I digress. I'll move on to the next thing here. Well, seeing as it's fairy fish, its excrement naturally has magical compounds, Miss Wilcox continued haltily. It's used as a powerful perfume fixative, as well as antibacterial dyes, pollutant traps for sewage treatment plants, and creating furniture and super strong silk-like fabric. However, in its unrefined state, it has the ability to bring the recently dead back to life. And then it continues, implying that like Lolly is now a walking, decomposing corpse, and that explains now why she's like decomposing and why she's been like spilling out this black sludge with maggots and stuff like that in it this whole time. And I was like, wait, so that whole thing of like her body like decomposing from the inside out and stuff like that wasn't because she made deals with demons. Like, it's because she was reanimated by fish poop. That was present at one of the accidents that she sparked and then died from.
It is kind of disappointing that it has no connection to like the demons and everything.
Yeah, and my next comment here is like, I really don't think this was needed for the story. She could have just been making shitty deals with demons, as the story previously insinuated, and that's why she like came back, and that's why she's decomposing. Is that like part of her deal maybe was like to like be an immortal elf princess or whatever, and the demon was like, yeah, sure, honey, yeah, we'll make you immortal, and then but so your soul, and then like so now she's just like like that's the whole thing, is like she died from this accident, and now but she was reanimated by the power of the demon, the Rose Prince or what have you, and now he's basically, and then that's why he like showed up again like later on at the end of this story to basically like take what was his, because like she died, so she's been like trying to stay away from him, or like trying to or she was maybe even oblivious about like the implications and consequences of making deals with demons like this, and so she was unaware that she was basically being hunted like over the course of this night, as she was like finally like accept like, oh yeah, I'm finally going to become an elf princess, and I'll can finally go to fairy and all that stuff. And really this Ruby Rose Wolf or the Rose Prince or what have you has been stalking her this whole time. And it's now final at the end of this story. We finally get like we could have had a chapter or a description of her going out into the woods trying to find the lock to that key that she has, and then turns out it was all a sham. And her demon patron is like, it's like, like shows up with like as Ruby Rose, like, oh, Ruby Rose, I finally found you. He's like, yes, you have. And then he shifts into like Rose Prince. It's like, and now it's time to take what's mine. What do you mean? I'm gonna be an elf princess. No, your soul is mine. And then he just like rips her apart.
That's what should have happened.
Yes. But instead, no. It just turns out there's another completely brand new that we didn't know about until just now. Reanimating properties of fairy fish poop. And she was just a walking corpse this whole time with delusions of grandeur. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really feel like this explanation as to like why she came back was not needed. Like there was one that was already insinuated throughout the story. we didn't need a second one. It really felt like this story was just throwing everything at the end of the story. But I'll move on to the next thing here. Actually, the next thing I have here is about the hands that are like opening the window wide enough to accommodate their chubbiness. The hands slowly squeezed through and lightly dropped into the dusty stone floor. The sky outside the window lightened by the moon. Lightened as the moon reappeared behind the ragged edges of the clouds. It soon flooded the interior with silvery rays, revealing now nothing above the hands, just ragged, torn, dripping stumps. So I was like, wait, so again, like I was like, are these Lolly's hands? Like, is that what's going? I feel like we missed a chapter, and that's what we were kind of mentioning earlier. Like, I feel like there was a whole chapter that we missed that could have given us like that scene of like Lolly finally meeting her comeuppance or meeting her doom.
Mm-hmm.
At the hands of the Rose Prince. That's the whole thing I'm getting with this part. And then we get this. This is with the professors and their comical like befuddlery against the ghost hands. It's like, get real, Gerhard, Wilkie snared. We all know who's to blame in all this. We do? And then to me, we do? Of course. It was the Nymph, aka the Fire Witch woman. Oh, her, said Arthur, feeling a bit ill. Oh yes, her, said Wilkie, scowling furiously. The one who nearly swallowed you back in Octopus Bay when you were buzzing about as a bothersome horsefly. I feel like we've lost the plot a little bit here.
Yeah.
Like, this ending chapter is just a completely different story. And these last two chapters have just thrown everything and the kitchen sink at us. Like, it almost feels like that song from Hell of a Boss. Look at this. Look at this. This is a distraction. Look at this. Like, because the story doesn't actually have an ending. It's just, here's a bunch of cool, kooky stuff. And don't get me wrong, this cool, kooky stuff is fun, like set dressing for like the world of Hogan's Bay and like the Humboldt County as a whole. But the story is so unfocused. Like, the actual story, the actual plot that we're reading just feels so unfocused. It feels like the story was like, we're coming in for a good landing. We're coming in for a good landing. Did you forget the landing props? What? Yeah. It's just like, and don't get me wrong, I liked like the adventures, the mishaps of Gerhard and Wilkie. Like, they're fun. Like, they were fun little characters. It's just, they're completely new characters that we never met before. Like, maybe they're teachers that like Lolly knew. Maybe if Lolly's hands are actually those hands and not something completely fucking different.
And she's going after them because reasons.
Because maybe they're on her list. Like, maybe they weren't like nice to her. Because
it's someone living in town.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole town hates her.
I know. It's such a guys, this story had such a good start for me. Like it had such potential, and I started seeing some of the seams like fraying as we went along. But I was hoping it's still good. It's still good. And then these last two chapters, just like the story just took itself and just ripped it in half, like ripped the linens in half, like, and then threw them into the bonfire. Yeah, so that's the end of my actual thoughts for chapters 13 and 14.
You gonna be okay, buddy?
I don't know. Mikey, V stands for evil. Your thoughts on chapter 14?
All right. So, I didn't hate it nearly as much as you did, clearly.
I am so surprised. I am so shocked that, like, how this turn of events.
That's always how it is.
What a twist.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because, I mean, we establish in the previous chapters that the Rose Prince really does not like Lolly because she has those sparkle lights or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Or
I'm
the demons
thinking,
in general don't like her because of that, but
yeah,
the Rose Prince, I don't think actually ever mentions it. It's the Dragon Dad and his siblings who are probably the relations to the Rose Prince, but again, yeah.
And the sparkle lights aren't that's not the fairy fish poop.
No,
Right?
that's
no,
not, that's
no.
not, that actually is completely something completely different.
Yeah, that is something completely different. So anyway,
Yes, continue.
the Rose Prince and his siblings get scolded earlier for letting Lolly survive the fairy world.
Yeah, crossing the bridge when she should have been ripped apart.
Yeah. So as a punishment, they were told to get her out of there.
Yeah.
So what's the best way to get them out of there? To, basically do her bidding, which is why she was able to do the Ouija board and hide it and basically live like a king, because they were basically keeping her out of the fairy realm.
But that was way like that. Her doing the Ouija board stuff and all that was way earlier.
Yeah, but in this section, it's explained that there's a bunch of thefts that happened, and like, did they finally catch her? Type thing. So basically, she was given the power to be invisible and steal things.
Yeah,
from the Rose Prince and his siblings to keep her out of the fairy realm.
But all the stuff that she was taking, wasn't that like magical stuff to potentially get into the fairy realm in the first place?
Yeah, and that's what she was planning on doing. And then when she finally got into the fairy realm across the bridge, they couldn't do anything about her because she had a trinket that she had taken.
That she probably stole.
Yeah, no, it straight up mentions like, yeah, she's a sneak thief. Like she stole that trinket.
Yeah. So anyway, continuing on, the whole basically the truck and fish poop scenario is basically Ellery convinced someone to help her get her revenge on Lolly, to take her out type thing.
Like, after, are you talking about like after they had to go home from the okay,
when they got kicked off the beach? We don't get this information, but it's the logical explanation, because her reason for talking and telling the story at the campfire was to get people to curse or do something to Lolly.
See, I would buy that, except Ellery herself at the beginning of the story mentions the accident a week ago. And then at the end of the story, we get it from the mom about the accident a week ago. And we actually we find out what that accident was with Ellery and her friends. So
the accident was mentioned.
Yes. See, I like what you're going with. I like the idea here of like the ending here explained that like, oh, like this actually like if it had been organized with an actual like timeline here and not just all in one night, but like we were actually getting some time pass between certain sections or certain chapters. And then at the end here, it's explained that, yeah, no, Ellery got like that whole accident with the lorry and like that stuff was Ellery's doing to get back at Lolly. If it was organized better, yeah, that actually would make that would be really cool, or that would be for a narrative point of view. Like again, like this like revenge begets revenge sort of thing, or like curse begets curse sort of situation.
His question: can I recite a passage real quick?
Go for it.
Last weekend, me and some of my friends met. Well, a bit of an accident. This is from like chapter 1 or whatever this is. Yeah. Megara puffs some more on a reefer while eyeing the girl curiously. An accident, huh? Accident? Kess stared wide-eyed in disbelief and dismay. What accident? You mean like an auto wreck? No, nothing like that, said Ellery, shaking her head a second time. She slowly pulled her knees up to her chin, wrapping her arms around her bony ankles. Though I wish it was a car crash. That might have made things a hell of a lot easier. But it was a car crash, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
However,
so that's a different accident.
Hey, no, it is still the same one. Hang on, stay with me. The mother, is asked the same thing. It's like, oh, was she in a car accident? It's like, no, not a car wreck. She was the witness to a car wreck. So it wasn't like she wasn't in a car accident. She was witness to one, and she got splashed by the poopy water from the accident.
But the accident was directly a result of an auto wreck. So her saying
she was
nothing like that is a lie.
Well, no, because she like for her it was nothing like that. She wasn't in a car wreck, though she wished she was because it would have been a lot cleaner. Because she got soaked by poopy fish water.
Yes, last weekend me and some of my friends met an accident.
Yes,
but they weren't in the accident. Right? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Everybody get that?
yeah. Larry, that scene from Spaceballs. Everybody got that?
So
thank you, Darth Helmet.
Then this makes it even more confusing because then basically Lolly's already dead, or has become hands
because she was reanimated and slowly decomposing, and possibly either she finally like fell apart. Like outside the Bartleshoff Arm Hotel, or she met with a terrible fate from maybe her patron demon or whatever what have you in Fairy.
Yeah. She wasn't immediately hands right after the accident.
No, yeah.
Because it would also explain why that she like walked across the bridge and people were looking at her as like stuff was sloughing off of her.
Exactly. Yeah. Like it would explain like why like she was able to get away from like the facility. And then like why she was like I guess she got out of the morgue when she reanimated.
Or she even went to the morgue. She might have been hit in the accident and then she got up and walked away and no one saw.
Yeah, exactly. They just saw a smear. Yeah, they just saw a smear. They didn't actually see her body get up and like walk away. Yeah, no, I like.
Yeah, so this begins to completely fall apart.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. To entertain the reanimating the accident, like the way it is, like with this reanimating property thing, like it didn't need to happen this way. It could have even been that like Lolly caused the accident with the lorry and stuff like that, but didn't actually die from the accident. Like just basically helped spark that accident, and then she's still being like decomposed and eaten from the inside by the deals she's been making with the Rose Prince.
Why would she cause the accident on herself though?
Well, no, like she sparked it. Like she jumped out and but dodged out of the way from the truck.
Oh, okay.
Not taking the accident. Yeah.
Which means the accident doesn't have to be here.
Exactly. Which means this whole section could have been told from Ellery's point of view to tell us the second part of her story as to why she wants revenge on Lolly. And again,
because like her mentioning the accident in the first place seems like the accident is the crux of the reason why she hates Lolly. Which, if that's the case, she hates Lolly because Lolly accidentally got hit by a truck.
Well, no, yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, well, no, like she hates Lolly because of that, because she knows that like she's been like trying to do like cursing her with the Ouija board that she's been sneaking into her house. She know, and she knows that like she's been stealing stuff of hers, like her comic pages and stuff like that at school. So there's like a bunch of
the accident was brought up because they asked what happened to you.
Yeah, because she looked like
her physical looks.
Right, because at the beginning of this, Ellery looked like a fucking zombie in a hoodie.
Yes.
and then at the end of I think chapter 11 or 12, maybe 10, the last episode we covered, episode we covered chapters. Ellery like took off her disguise, and it's revealed she was not a zombie at all. She just was wearing a disguise. Because she was the reason was because she was afraid, I guess, of being spotted by Lolly.
Although that's not said. She just takes it off and says, "I'm not scared of Lolly anymore."
Yeah.
Which I guess makes people assume that she was hiding from her with that disguise, I guess.
But we know what assuming means, folks. It makes an asset of you and Umption. Wait, what?
So close, and yet so far.
Much like this story's ending. And it
makes an asset of you and Ming.
Yeah, yes.
Who's Ming?
Yeah. Again, I want to reiterate, like, I'm being bombastic here in the ending. Because for me, the ending didn't like work. And it does seem like the story kind of falls apart because of the situation that happens in these last two chapters. I genuinely like a lot of this story. I'm just, because of that, I'm kind of the letdown at the ending here is that much like more painful to me.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to reiterate that, like, yeah. But sorry, Mikey, this is your section.
Okay. So you might be swaying me.
I'm sorry. God, is this what it feels like to be you?
Is this what you've been doing to people?
Is this what you've been doing to me for years?
Yeah.
He quietly says, yeah.
So, yeah, the whole fact that this whole accident that was mentioned, that wasn't a car accident, but it was a car accident, it just involved fish poop.
Yeah. It was an indirect car accident.
Yeah.
It was a witness car accident that like got them in the splash zone.
Yeah, I was going to say they were in the splash zone, yeah.
Yeah. So the whole that being brought up sort of is the nail in the coffin. Yeah. So like because I didn't think that the two accidents were related. So
your child.
So the fact that they're one and the same, and basically Lolly gets run over and then becomes Hands, assumingly around soon after
last week.
Well, she's been missing for a week.
Yeah, she's been missing for a week. She showed up in Hogan's Gap here, and has been like walking into Ferry, sloughing bits of her off the entire time. And like she's delusional, so she's not like noticing it really, but except for like that her socks are soaked in black sludge and stuff like that. And people are noticing around her. And so like when last we saw her, she was tired, and then she finally got up from the stoop that she was sitting at in Lower Ferry and continued on to try and find Ruby Rose. That was the last we saw of Lolly. And then And then we got the part with the demons like talk about like, oh, sorry, Dad, we couldn't like we didn't want to, or we weren't able to like stop her from going to Ferry because she had this trinket, and also she smells bad.
Then the demon daddy goes, oh,
glitter lice, oh, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
But then they go fly off, presumably maybe to go finish the job that they were supposed to do.
Yes.
Maybe they are going to go deal with her, and then we're missing a chapter or we're missing a scene where Lolly gets her comeuppance, and then the next time we see her potentially is her ragged hands crawling to the window, the basement window of the hotel that everyone's staying at.
That was going to be a question of mine. Did you see them as crawling or as floating disembodied hands?
I kind of saw them as crawling until ghost hands started showing up in with Gerhard and Wilkie. And then I started just seeing them as like floating, like ghostly hands.
Yeah, because even they don't say that they're floating per se, do they?
No, because they think they're rats, so it could be like crawling around like Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally saw Thing.
Yeah, I saw Thing when they were getting into the window, and then like a little bit when they were going after Wilkie and Gerhardt.
I couldn't shake the like orientation of them being standard hands because it just mentions hands going into the window and then the hands fell through to show that they're just stumps. So I'm like, okay, maybe they're just floating the whole time, and then I stuck with that.
Yeah. Also, another thing, just realizing, so another thing that's mentioned by Gerhardt and Wilkie during that whole situation is it must be Niamh, aka Fire Witch Woman. We've encountered fire witches before in the story, in these stories with the Summer Break, and they were mentioned in Summer Break and some of Kess's later stories. But like again, it's something that's tangential and like is speculated by these two new characters, and then just like I don't think they're actually I don't think the Fire Witch was actually the answer that they were speculating on. It's just like another like either like a teaser to like another story or like a hint at like the greater setting, maybe.
I guess.
Yeah. So I just wanted to bring that up because like I forgot to mention that in my final thoughts or my actual thoughts. But yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. So this whole story basically takes part or a week after an accident.
Yeah.
That
And
quote unquote kills Lolly, but we're getting a story about why these people hate Lolly and why we need to curse her.
Even though she's clearly already dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ellery already knows she's dead.
Why knows that she's still around doing shit though?
Maybe that's why she became why she disguised herself as a zombie. What the fuck?
Okay, Ellery knows that Lolly's still around doing stuff because she saw her in her room with the Ouija board stuff. This was like a week after her apparent death.
Oh, okay.
So I guess she's wanting to curse the spirit of her if she's believing that she's dead, or maybe she's believing that she somehow survived that. So is cursing her physical form. I don't know.
Yeah, it's this last chapter. I feel like these last two chapters kind of throw a lot of the stuff that was going on earlier in the story, like for a loop.
Yeah,
like the introduction of the reanimating the introduction of the reanimating poop, and the actual details of that accident, like the way it goes down, kind of throws some holes into the plot earlier on.
Oh, and to throw another one in there. So we were saying that we made the connection that Ruby Rose is the Rose Prince.
We theorize. That's a theory.
It can't be because the Rose Prince was told to keep her out of Fairy.
No, he was not. His brothers or those demon siblings were, not him specifically.
Oh, right. He wasn't one of the ones that were there.
Yeah. Yeah, he was the one. He seems to be like a trickster kind of guy.
So he might be fucking with his brothers by leading her there.
Yeah, he is known in earlier on in the story. We do get hints that he's perhaps he's even stronger than his father, the Gray Man, and his other siblings. So like he basically is doing this to maybe like undermine them and stuff like that as well.
Okay.
So
forgive me for being a little confused with the characters.
Absolutely. Also, again, a chapter one. I think one more chapter that seemed to be missing with details might have fixed some things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not to continue beating a dead Lycor.
The truck did die in that accident.
Yeah. No. I was thinking, yes, Laurie as in the truck, but I was definitely thinking Hugh Laurie, like just kicking a dead Hugh Laurie, the actor. I'm sorry, I loved you in House.
Yeah. So the story or these chapters didn't bother me until we had this discussion.
You're welcome.
So,
Payback's a bitch.
Payback's a bitch.
yeah.
I learned it from watching you.
Yeah.
That's the end of my actual thoughts.
All right. Gamer.
Okay. So, we get part 1, and I'm glad that we get clarification why Lolly smells so bad now. But like, I guess she'd always smelt bad because previously in the story when she was in school, people were like, "Oh, she smells bad," and then she gets hit by bad smelling stuff after the fact, and at that point forward, she is assumed dead.
Yeah.
Okay, but still, the whole like part of her quote unquote dying, I only learned about that here. I must have missed it previously that she was dead before.
Well, we didn't get full hints that she was dead until the Lori situation.
Yeah, up until the Lori like crash, like until we actually get details about the accident a week ago
and her funeral.
It wasn't until like this like chapter that we get that information, because up till then it was really just like, oh, like it seemed like she's like decomposing or like she's dying as she walks, like she's like, or she's a walking decomposing corpse.
Yeah,
but we didn't know the details specifically of why that was happening.
Mm-hmm. But like the way it came out, it didn't feel like a twist. It's just kind of like, should I have known this already? Like that's how it felt to me.
To me, it wasn't a twist. It was like, oh, you're just changing what you've been hinting at this whole time. Again,
there was no hints of her being dead before.
No, but like we were again. This is also possibly on us because we were like speculating throughout this last couple of weeks about her like making deals with a patron, and so like her patron basically was like slowly killing her, corrupting her for like all the deals she was made with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there was hints of like black sludge or whatever that.
Yeah, like there was like
set on the bus and whatnot. Yeah. So,
but that could be all quote unquote mundanely explained now with the fish poo.
Yeah, the fact that she's a walking corpse, and so like all that sludge is actually just her slowly falling apart as she wanders around for a week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the rest of my notes we actually talked about. So basically, all I have left to do is just recite the list of characters if you would like me to do so.
I would love you to.
Okay,
I've been
great.
waiting a whole week.
I think I did a partial list a couple of episodes ago, but I figured I might as well do a full one now.
Do you have brief descriptions of each character or just a list?
I have brief descriptions.
All right.
I did full OCD mode.
Also, before you begin, I want to point out, because we had talked about it earlier, how like, oh man, that we saw that rocker guy that was like the older brother of like one of Ellery's friends, stalk across the bridge into ferry with all the shadow things.
Yukiko.
Yeah, Yukiko. Where that went nowhere. Turns out he wasn't like a sludge demon or anything. He was actually just going over to that side for concerts or for some festival.
I don't know if he was or not, because he was like,
I don't know. Regardless,
I still hold what I said before. It's like all the shadow people that were following her were basically being puppeted, like because she killed them. I don't know.
I don't think those were. I think those were the demons that were basically like those were the demon brothers that were like stalking her. But
one of them was clearly Yukiko.
I know.
So I'm viewing it as basically the Rose Prince did some deal with her because she's hearing the voice in her head, and she ended up getting Yukiko killed, and like her walking into the other across the bridge is her ferrying his soul to the Rose Prince.
That would have been a really cool. That would have been a really cool like thing if that's what had happened. Like she again in that chapter that's missing or that lost chapter, she goes into the brush near that just happens to be near that Bartles off Arm Hotel, and like she's finally found like again Ruby Rose, and then she sees like behind her are all these condemned souls that have been like stalking her. And it's like, thank you for what you've done. It's like, what do you mean? Am I going to be an elf princess now? It's like, not exactly. And just like and then just like consumes the souls until all that's left of her is the hands.
Yes.
That would have been, honestly, that's all I would have needed for the ending, is like having Lolly meet her comeuppance tragically from the demon patron she was working with.
Yeah. That would have been a suitable end.
Yeah. I would have even continued to keep, like, I'd even be fine with having the adventures of Gerhardt and Wilkie. Honestly, like the way they acted, it was very, again, I keep harping on stuff like this. I just keep intruding with things. But it's just like, it really felt like a Abbott and Costello routine.
A little bit, yeah.
Gerhardt and Wilkie.
It sounds like it could be. It's just like the way that their names go, but yeah.
Yep.
Either way.
Yes, back to speaking of characters that are just immediately, like, just randomly introduced in the story and such.
Mm-hmm.
The list.
So yes, I have compiled the list. I may have missed a couple, but I don't think I did. I might have. Who knows? So first, there's the now cast, which are people that are being told the story in the now, aka the people that were at the campfire.
Yeah, Moon Agate Beach campfire. Yeah.
Yeah, there's Ellery Wilcox, who has mousy hair, brown eyes, thin, with a baggy gray hoodie, jeans, talks of hatred and vengeance, wants to curse Lolly, telling us why, and used to do comic for a school paper. There's Meg, also known as Megara. Purple hair, goth, Gorgon girl, yellow eyes, has some magical powers with her hair. Kess, who is a delicate brown-skinned girl, fluffy white hair, cat eyes, she's a Gurdon, orange and gold robe, a tourist, doesn't know human stuff very well.
And then there's Cybergoth, who is quote-unquote one of the Cybergoths, so there's multiple. He's masked, and he held hands with Kess accidentally during the story. There's Gulliver, also known as Gully, who's a short, blonde-haired kid with freckles, he's pale, in like a fur-trimmed velvet gown with a large brimmed hat and a bright red scarf. He's a kid brother to Megara. Celia, who is Gully's centipede familiar scarf, who stays the shit out of Kess at one time. And there are other assorted characters there that I don't think were named, because there's like people playing guitars and other people. But I think those are the main people that were actually there that had names and dialogue.
Yeah. The other characters are just like random, like the crowd of human and fairy folk kids and teens that are there for the beach party. So
yes.
Did you mention Dog Cop?
I was just scrolling to, like, do I have an animal list for Dog Cop? I don't think I haven't. Okay, so I guess he needs to go there.
Yeah, Dog Cop. Yeah. Dog Cop, Hogan's Gap's equivalent of Wolf Cop.
Yep.
From Curtisville.
And yes, he said on Kess.
Yeah.
Also possibly a druid. Okay.
All right. Vital information.
It really is. Okay, now I need to update my final tally because I added one. There we go. And then later on in the story, Kess passes out. And in that story, there are 4 people that show up at the end of the story, which it kind of feels like it's meant to be like Ellery, Meg, Kess, and the Cybergoth around her as she's waking up. Yeah. But like they all have dialogue that doesn't make sense to what they would be saying in the real world. So I think it's 4 other characters that are lost in that like limbo space as well that were trying to save Kess before she got pulled out.
Yeah, or it's just like dream equivalents of those characters, and then they like when she wakes up, like she's actually looking at the people, like the actual people in the waking world. Like
yeah, but they might be actual people in the dream world for all I know, because there's a dwarf woman, a chunky goblin boy, a blonde elf girl, and a troll witch woman.
Maybe, yeah.
But who knows? They may or may not be real. I'm still adding them for the bit. And then we get into Ellery's story, talking about back in school, like Locker 409 and all that. There's Nadine, who ran the blackjack table in their little room that they had, like, I guess during lunch or something, when they were all just messing around in some empty classroom.
Because it was raining outside.
Yeah, and then Brenda, who's the burly friend of Nadine.
Veronica Zalife, who's a friend of Ellery. She's into horror and sci-fi, and she tells the 1970s story of Locker 490 to Ellery in the first place. There's Nina Amara, who is her other best friend, the first friend that Ellery ever made. There's Hugh Lambert, who is the previous cartoonist for school who graduated. He's not there, but he's mentioned when Ellery says, like, oh, I didn't want to be as a celebrity like you when I took over the school cartoon. But he's still named character, so he counts. There's Heather Mebius, who's a 7th grader, nerdy, who plays clarinet. Tasha Chicory, who's a friend of Heather. She's snooty. Keith Nelson, who was watching Marvel Hornets at the time. Venus, who is one of the scenes who showed up, because like a whole horde of scene kids came in. And he wears a Pokemon t-shirt. There's quote-unquote Poofy hair, because that's all we get for her name, who's just one of the scene girls. There's Lydia, who is a scene girl with bright animal prints on. There's quote-unquote Blue hair, who's a scene girl with blue hair. Who saw the big slug thing upstairs. There's black and red hair person, who's a scene boy with black and red hair who saw the slug thing as well. There's girl with hair clips, who is scene girl with funky hair clips who saw the big slug thing too. There's Dino T-boy, who is a scene boy with a dinosaur t-shirt, who thought that the slug thing actually looked like a velvet worm and not a big slug thing. There's Darth Sheldon, who gives Ellie a hard time about using so many papers for her comic, and that's all he does. There's Pete McFarlane, who calls everyone dude. That's his whole thing. Lyra Bisbee. Yeah, Bisbee. She's a freckled blonde girl artist who hangs out with Hotaru, and she's the one who died from Locker 490 and later showed up in Ellery's dream.
That's all the people that were originally introduced in that story that Ellery was telling.
Did you include the 8 kids that had lockers next to 490 that suffered acute appendicitis?
No, because they are generalized.
They're generalized. Okay, yes.
I'm not. These are specific characters who have some defining quality that gives us a name, dialogue, or visual.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
But also mentioned back then were the Gingers. Sorry, the O'Briens.
There's Ryu, who is one of the ginger triplets from Ellery's art class. There's Hotaru. He's another ginger triplet from Ellery's art class, but he wears sunglasses. That makes him different. There's Arisu, who's the other ginger triplet, but a girl this time, who is morbid and is monster obsessed. There's Ken, who is Hotaru's little brother. And then Yukiko, who is the big brother, world famous rock star. He's kind of an asshole. Mm-hmm. He's tall, lean, muscular, long white hair, spiked up, flame-like, high cheekbones, sharp chin, dyed black goatee, with pale white skin, just like all the other ones because they're gingers.
And then,
actually, that throw a wrench in your idea about like him being part of like the souls that are being ferried to Fairy by Lolly. If he's a ginger, does he have a soul?
This is true. Given South Park logic, he wouldn't.
That's for you. That's for you, gamer.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I didn't even think of that. Wow. Okay. Then we move on to Lolly's family that's listed.
There's obviously Lolly McLaren, who's a weeaboo, teeny bopper human. She's fat, smelly, dresses like an anime girl. She's the topic of the story. Calls herself Lachlan Alana Haviland. Haviland. There we go. I didn't actually pronounce it before. I probably should have. She says she's a high elf. She's a high elf, and she's actually adopted. And then her sister, Sylvia, who plays violin, is twin to Thomas, her brother, who plays soccer. Both of those characters are possibly a lie.
Over their actual real counterparts? Unsure.
Like she basically like made her own like fan fiction of her life.
I guess, but
it's like possibly like bleeding over top of reality.
Yeah, I don't know which is real though. But
we get Anne McLaren show up, who is the protag from chapter 13, basically. I was under the impression she was her sister, because she mentions that like back home, Sylvia
plays violin and stuff. So I assumed sister. You assumed cousin. It said cousin once in the whole story. I don't know which is real.
So I assumed cousin because from Anne's point of view, she's disgusted by her cousin from New York, Lolly. But then she's like, I always wondered why she started calling me Sylvie, and I never had a brother named or why I had a brother named Thomas who did violin. So like again, like she's starting to like she's aware that like something is fucking with her mind. But which one is true, we don't know.
No idea. But she does have two brothers, Dylan and Jerry.
Okay.
And so one of them has the cover name of Thomas, if that is the fake name.
Yeah. So
basically all that is technically two of those could be not real. I don't know. But regardless, they're mentioned. And then presumably she has a mom and dad. They're never mentioned.
And then there's Watson, who is their Persian cat. And Sherlock, their dog, who is a mongrel Aradale, who was deceased. But he's a named character who's just described, so I'm mentioning it. Then there's Aunt Marie and Uncle Fritz, who were rich.
Died in a house fire and left Lolly their inheritance, which is probably a lie.
Yeah, because again, that's also like poked at by Anne in the story. Yep.
Yes, but those real equivalents would be Aunt Lizette and Uncle Gerald, who are not rich and also alive. And then Jasmine, who is a Siamese kitten that quote-unquote Sylvia had while she was little, which might be false memories as well.
Perhaps.
because it's part of the Sylvia
Part of the
canon.
Yeah, part of the delusion, perhaps, or part of the false memory stuff.
Yeah, because she doesn't remember that happening.
Yeah.
So technically, out of this lolly list, 5 of them are the same thing or something false. And then the last one is Puggle, who is Lolly's pug. I couldn't find what she called it.
She calls him Pocky.
Pocky?
Yeah.
Oh, like the food?
Yep, because it's Animu.
Yep, that works.
Yep, I knew. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Pocky the pug.
Okay. And then we'll move on to some adults here.
We got the ogre bus driver from chapter 2, who's a bald, heavily pierced and tattooed dude. He's an orc. He's an ogre, sorry. He's a former sideshow performer and rock musician of the bands.
People with chairs up their noses, and if pigs could talk, would you still eat them?
Oh my god, I forgot about.
Right? He's the
People with
original
chairs up their
character
noses.
where it's like, I need to write these characters down. Like, how am I supposed to keep this shit straight?
Yeah, he's also the character. He was the character who was like, I want his story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, what's up with that guy?
Then we get Al Phillips, who's a teacher of English and journalism.
Mrs. Holliswood, who is the vice principal. There's the old plot lady, is what I refer to her as. Because in chapter 7, there's an old lamia lady who calls Lolly smelly.
And gives the backstory on the
Aisha.
yeah, them.
Yeah,
that
the Aisha,
bridge to the fairy realm to Harvey and Benny, who are guys that are disgusted by Lolly as well.
And British tourists.
Oh yeah, they were British, you're right. And then I have an entity list.
Oh,
There's
good.
Ruby Rose.
Who is Lolly's twin-tailed wolf's quote-unquote spirit guide, who may or may not be the Rose Prince. We don't know because nothing's confirmed. It's all headcanon. There's the Shinigami from chapter 8, who was seen stalking Lyra in the dream, who is friend-shaped. There's the Gray Man, who's mentioned in a dream. He's bad.
The Rose Prince, who's mentioned in a dream. He's even badder.
The Gray Man may also be the Dragon Dad.
Is he?
Potentially, because remember we had this discussion last week when you're like, oh yeah, the dragon's even like gray like gray
Yes.
colored. And I was like, yes, oh my god, you're right, and like it would make sense because like his children are 3 demon princes, which is mentioned as like the Gray Man has like 9 demon princes as sons or something like that.
Yep. Okay, so mentioned in dreams / Gray Dragon Daddy. The Rose Prince, mentioned in a dream, son of the Gray Man, stalking Lolly and the fairy, confirmed to be stalking the Now cast, specifically Kess, and he attacked Tulagak.
Yeah.
Then there's Rith from chapter 9, who's the older brother of the Rose Prince. In chapter 11, there's Labcoat, because we don't have his name, I don't think.
Yeah, the guy. I thought he was the Gynandromorph.
Yes, that's not his name. That's his
No, it's
like
his description. Yeah.
yeah, but he's that in the lab coat.
Split down the middle with a male and female side on either side. And then there's Chimney Sweep, who is with him. Has like a little flying cherub on a green string.
Whose name is Ralphie.
I love how we get Ralphie's name, but we don't get the Demon Prince's name.
No, why would we? And then
I
there's
like how quick side. I love how like all the demon princes don't actually have names. There's like the Rose Prince, the Chimney Sweep, the Gynandromorph. I guess that makes sense because like I guess that makes sense because you don't demons generally don't want to give their true name.
True, and Ralphie might be a name that the Chimney Sweep gave the cherub.
Yeah.
Just to call it something. And then there's Fancy Youth, who is with Labcoat and Chimney Sweep, who has fancy clothes and curl blonde hair.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Gray Dragon, which is also the Gray Man. So there's the
Esme cast, I guess, with Grandma Esme's place. Grandma Esme's there, shocking. Grandpa is deceased, unfortunately, but he was a wizard. Kiki, 9-year-old granddaughter, smart, and she decoded the magic book. Tulagak, 13-year-old, who's Kiki's sister. Achurka, with red streaked spiky hair.
which I forgot until just now, honestly.
Yeah, same.
Then there's Cinder, who's Grandma Esme's cat, along with
Felina, Fiona, Fauna, Felicia. Those are all cats. And then there's Henry, who is Grandma's dog, but a female, because they named her before finding out the gender of the dog.
which is the thing that happens, as you told me last time.
It's not that weird.
Yep. And then there's Kuma, who is Tulagak's dog back home.
Yeah.
Because she's just at Grandma's place right now.
Yeah, Kiki and Tulagak are visiting Grandma.
Yes. And then the kids also have a mom and dad, I'm assuming.
Yeah, because they're worried that, like, Tulagak is worried that she's going to get in trouble from Mom and Dad.
Yes. And then there's the past cast, which are the people from the 1970s story that the then cast tells us.
Oh my
or
god.
Elric tells
I
us.
love how we have the now cast, the then cast, and the past cast.
Yeah, I had to do that to keep
No,
stuff
I
straight.
understand. I understand.
But thankfully, there's only 2 characters in this that I wrote down. There's Marina Yamayuchi, who's the original target, 7th grade Japanese girl, and then Vaya Nakata, who's also in 7th grade, friend of Marina. She was a Hawaiian Japanese girl. They switched lockers, and Via disappeared because of it.
Yeah.
And then we jump ahead
To the Bartzelov arms, the cast there. There's Ruben, who's a tall goblin with a cob pipe and red hair. There's Neff, who's a shorter, blue-haired companion to him with a striped shirt and a party hat. And then they mentioned Governor Todd and Governor Stoat. So those are people in this universe that are also mentioned for a throwaway thing, but they're mentioned. And then Ellery Wilcox's household.
There's Annette, who's the mom, and Paul, who's, I'm assuming, the dad?
Unless. Ooh,
Yeah, who knows? And then the wizards at the end, there's Arthur Gerhard? Gerhard?
Yeah.
Who is a first-class professor in magic spells. He's an elf, and he has gold teeth.
Yeah.
And then there's Wilkie Gearson, who's a ghoul colleague and rival to him. And they mention Nymeth, who is a fire witch woman who may have done this, but she totally didn't.
I think it might be pronounced Nymph.
Nymph. Is that like Spiarmph?
Kind of, yeah.
Nice. And that is my list.
Wow.
That's 90 characters.
Yeah.
We almost got into triple digits.
Almost.
Technically, it might be a little less because you can remove maybe 5 from like
If they are indeed like.
if Sylvia and Thomas are actually different, if they're the same people as Anne and Dylan, for example, then yeah, you could technically take 5 off of that. So there's around 85 characters.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
That is a lot of characters. It is, again, the story does like clocks in at 91 pages. Or with a word count of character count of a lot.
You don't even know what that number is.
Okay. You're the one that does character counts. More like so. This is what it is. Hang on.
Hang on, let me get the calculator up. Oh, you're pasting it.
Yeah.
As I pull up the calculator here.
I pulled it up. Yeah.
Oh, that's 222,743 words.
No characters. So,
sorry.
Yeah.
Normally we read stuff that's between 20,000 and 40,000.
Yeah. So yeah,
That's
this, again, hence why this was like a whole month worth of like we were doing it by by clusters of chapters because it's a lot. Like I don't think we've ever done we've when it comes to like Baraska levels of like writing, like basically novella sized creepypastas, we tend to take our time because it's a lot of work.
Yes, for sure.
1 week thing. But yeah, it's just like that's a lot of characters, and there's a lot going on in the story.
There's a lot of characters and also a lot of characters. 22,000 of them, or 222,000 of them.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. Just too many.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like most of them are kind of just throwaway characters that just like show up to insult Lolly and then they're gone.
Yeah, I mean, like it's fine to have like a roster of side characters, because like otherwise, again, you're just describing characters like by like description and stuff like that. Like you're not like it is good to have names to side characters, even like superfluous ones.
Oh, for sure.
It's just like yeah, no, this was a lot of characters to keep tabs on and stuff. So
because as much as we give it shit for having a whole lot of characters, it does make the world feel more alive because there's a lot of actual people in this.
Yeah, again, I don't want to discourage, because again, obviously, I probably sound like a jackass in this. I probably legitimately have sounded like an asshole this entire episode. But like, I genuinely love the setting that Pratt has created. I want to know more. It's just sometimes the stories get really muddled, and it's hard to like figure out what's going on. Or sometimes the stories like kind of lose the plot of their own narrative, or like get caught in the weeds.
Yeah, sometimes it's just like spinning its tires and not really going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't want this to sound like, oh, we're like totally negative Nancy and like the story's like shitty and stuff like that. Like we don't want to be the haters, like the people that hate Lolly, like just relentlessly for
Yeah.
being a weeb. But like this story, like yeah, because like again, we generally do like the lore and the setting of these stories. It's just this one by the end, it just kind of for at least it seems like for most of us, it didn't really quite stick the landing that it was aiming for. So. And again, this is a critically silly show, so we are going to also, have some fun. It's not all going to be dry, serious, like literary editing, despite things like the Grammar Inquisition and such.
Yes, which is what we're quote unquote famous for.
Yeah, according to Reddit.
Yeah.
According to Reddit commenters. But regardless, is that all you have then? Is that you finishing off with the list?
Yeah, that's the list.
All right. Well, before we dive into the final thoughts, and see this story finally off. I do have some information that I have acquired from Brownie, of all people, because he started listening to to the first episode and had some things to say as somebody who was apparently born and raised in California.
First episode of The Visitor from Curtisville?
Yes.
Oh.
Because we had some confusion regarding like the school systems and stuff like that in California, and like how characters were how characters thought of like certain like sports groups and stuff like that. So according to Brownie, he apparently the description for the high school or like the middle school was actually fairly accurate to a California infrastructure, because like they do. A lot of the schools on the West Coast do have outdoor sections between classrooms. So that's why like the rain, like the whole thing of like the rain coming through the hallways, like that's actually kind of accurate to like, again, the schools, the classes being like kind of separated by outdoor areas.
Is it so? Instead of it being one big building, it's separate buildings.
Yeah, and honestly, like that had made sense, because like I think I remember in the episode in that episode dealing with those early chapters, I was commenting about how like I've seen in media a lot of high schools and middle schools have like kind of like just like an open air, or like just like basically a roofed path between sections of school.
And early when he was describing the school, it said that the school was set up into 4 different academies or something like that.
Yeah, so those that makes sense that it would be called academies, because they're buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes sense because a lot of media, a lot of TV and movies are shot on the West Coast near Hollywood and like that stuff. So it actually would make sense that they're using schools from there. So
okay,
that's why you kind of experience that. Also, apparently with the Oakland Raiders bit about like they apparently do act like a gang of thugs when they come into town for games. They wear black bandanas on their heads and go out of their way to start fights. They are assholes.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Yeah. This is what Brownie had told me about, like regarding some of the things we had, some of the comments we had about the school situation and stuff like that in California. So now guys, I'm sorry. We may have Brownie on the show for any other Curtisville stories we cover.
This is fine.
Just so we have somebody who's like has some background information and knowledge about the region that the stories take place in. So, but yeah, just something I thought I'd put in because that was mentioned. That was brought up to me between the last week and this week. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
and I appreciate you, Brownie.
Mm-hmm. So on to final thoughts. Finally. Yeah. So I don't know if I can really recommend this as is. And after all is said and done, it has a bunch of good stuff in it, but it gets caught in the weeds of multiple plots and characters who are only tangentially tied to the narrative and mystery at hand. And then at the end, in these last 2 chapters, it just fumbles the landing to me by introducing a different origin to part of Lolly's situation anyway, than was previously insinuated, and finishing off the story with two bumbling magic professors at a hotel looking to get some sleep, but are harried by a ghost witch hand, which or hands, which might be Lolly's hands.
It's heavily assumed that they are.
Yeah, again, it feels like we're missing like a scene or even a chapter of of Lolly's fate, that the story greatly needed. There's no resolution to a lot of plot points given. Things just happen, and then another thing starts happening. Don't get me wrong. I again, I want to reiterate, I do love the dark, whimsical landscape of this version of Humboldt County, like Hogan's Gap or Hogan's Bay, which have you. Curtisville. Again, there's a reason we keep going back to the Curtisville stories, as I've been dubbing them. I love the dark whimsy. I love this like magical, mundane like mixture of the world, of like a world of towns that border between the mortal world and the worlds of fairy and other places. I think
it's a
honestly,
D&D campaign setting, honestly.
yeah, absolutely. It's a D&D campaign. Like, also, you could run this in Urban Arcana as like D20 modern. You could run this in Vossen, like with a modern twist. Even you could run it Shadowrun. Sorry, Mikey.
Sorry, yeah.
There is a plethora of like urban modern fantasy tabletop RPGs that you could easily translate this in this kind of this setting into, and it would work great. Hell, you could use this Little Fears, and you're actually playing as the kids of Curtisville or Hogan's Gap. Especially with some of the later expansions of Little Fears, which give you powers and stuff. But I digress. Like, for the story at hand, like this one here, like I love the setting, but this story specifically, like these 14 chapters, by the end, I feel they just really lacked focus. I think there's potentially 3 separate stories in here that if separated and fleshed out on their own would work amazing. But
yeah,
as it is, it feels a bit like a Frankenstein's monster, just like patchworked together, and it's a bit of a mess as a result.
Yes, because like each one is like drip feeding information to the previous one. Yeah, because like if just the Lolly story was told first, then I don't know if you would really need to read the other ones, you know?
Yeah, but it would be nice to have like those as separate stories, like have one about like Tulagok and Kiki, like that whole little adventure of like their misadventure of wanting to like solving this grimoire that they found, and then like Tulagok slipping downstairs and like trying to use a spell to get treasure and then summoning some demon. That could have been a really cool story on its own.
Yes.
And then like Lolly and Ellery's story, like if that had been like kind of compiled into one story with Kess and Megra, that would have made its own story really strong, like having like, and then finding out what happened to Lolly at the end of all of it. And then even the ending here with the adventures of Gerhardt and Wilkie, like that would be a fun little story just on its own, because that's just kind of like whimsically like humorous. Like I like it's a magic teacher that's an elf with gold teeth, and another magic teacher with that's a ghoul, like a Lovecraftian ghoul. Mm-hmm. And like it's an Abbott Costello routine kind of thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and it was fun. Like it was fine. But yeah, there's like elements of in the story that like you said are drip fed throughout the story that like it kind of convolutes the whole story as a whole, when really it could just be like kind of sorted out and made into much more clear separate stories. Mm-hmm. And it would keep the stories the narrative much more focused.
For sure.
But that's just my like writing opinion, or my creative opinion on the story, is like just it felt like by the end it just kind of like it literally just sank into a bog. Like it was meandering, it was getting caught in the weeds, and then it just like sank. And that's really sad. Like again, it made me like, it's why I've been like kind of acting the way I wasn't throughout this episode. It's just like it was kind of a letdown, and I hated it because I hated myself for being disappointed. Mm-hmm. With that, but like that's how I feel about the story, like how it ended. Like it started off rather strong, and like all the elements I like about a Curtisville story, and it just ends like abruptly. Like there's no resolution to what happened to Lolly, to what happened to Ellery, what happened to Tulagok's story kind of ended like that. I think that was the only story that really kind of ended well.
Which is unfortunate because that story technically has nothing to do with the main plot line.
Yeah, like maybe they're the ones responsible for summoning the Rose Prince to the area, but it could have also just been like, oh, the Rose Prince got summoned, and that's just a tertiary, like that's just a like a side thing that he was like doing.
That was a side hustle.
Exactly, yeah.
Hmm.
But again, yeah, it's just I love the world of Humboldt County as envisioned by M.M. Pratt. It's just this story got just for me, it got really convoluted and messy by the end, and so that's as is. I really don't think I could recommend it because it's as fun and interesting as it is. Like it doesn't go anywhere by the end, or it just kind of it just ends, and it sucks.
Mhm.
Like the fact that it ends is what sucks. Like it just ends. It sucks. Not that the story itself sucks.
Yeah, because I seem to recall at the end of last recording, we were basically saying like, there's still 2 chapters worth. Surely this will all get wrapped up, right?
Yeah,
Because
and
like you would assume.
and in fact, the story it doesn't wrap up old stuff. It brings in new things that don't really, at least for like as we've been reading, like doesn't really. He just throws in more stuff because it doesn't have an ending.
Yeah, the way that these last 2 are like, it feels like the story believes that everything else is already wrapped up in a neat little bow. So you don't need clarification or closure on any of that. Meanwhile, that's all we need is closure on the previous stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my final thoughts. Like it was a fun ride until the end to me. Unfortunately, I guess that was the trick instead of the treat for this Halloween season. But Mikey, these Sends for Evil, your final thoughts.
All right. So this last 2 chapters didn't annoy me. But considering that they're part of a whole story, and unfortunately that whole accident, oh, it's not a car accident, but it was.
They weren't
Totally
part of the
was.
car accident. They saw it.
Yeah.
Well, they were in the splash zone of the accident, which means they're technically in the accident.
Technically,
but
legally speaking.
technically, like but they weren't affected by the car. They were affected by the contents of the of the lorry as it spilled onto them.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, not the vehicle. Just...
Yeah.
Yeah, I do actually agree. Like the final chapter only doesn't bug me if you treat it on its own.
Yeah, I guess you could theoretically just read the last chapter and that would work on its own, wouldn't it?
Yeah, for like the whole like Wilkie, like the whole situation of like something showing up in the hotel and then Wilkie and Gerhardt having to deal with it. Like that zone will contain story at the very end of this story that was telling a long form tale that lasted 13 chapters up to that point.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, back to you, Mikey.
Yeah. So yeah, and the whole thing that I, thought that the accident in the end here wasn't the accident from previous, sort of made it better, but then the fact that it's explained, well, we figured out that it is the same accident. It really makes a lot of the story pointless.
Yeah.
Because it's a week after the accident. Lolly has been dead or missing and whatnot. Well, she'd be presumed dead anyway, or
There was a funeral. She's assumed dead.
yeah. So, like the whole revenge tale.
Yeah, why was Ellery going out there unless she knew that like Lolly was still out there?
Because there was the accident and she's presumed dead, but after that she saw like a ghostly apparition of Lolly in her room and she placed a Ouija board in her room.
A problem with that is I don't think that's actually I don't think that's the chronological order of the story because when Ellery's mom was talking to Anne about that whole situation, about like how like that girl was even sneaking into their home, and like they found the Ouija board in their attic and stuff like that, and that's where like that was what Ellery was talking about. But then Anne, I think, asked like, well, how'd you get caught? And then Ellery's mom explained that she got caught because she didn't get caught necessarily. The car accident happened, or the lorry accident happened.
Oh, well, damn, then never mind.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like, fuck. So yeah, it kind of Ellery's mom's story about like the whole accident, like and like Lolly being dead and then reanimated, throws Ellery's revenge plot down the drain a little bit.
Which was the entire reason we were reading the story.
Yeah, because she was the visitor from Curtisville. It was either Ellery or Kess, or no, it was either Ellery or Lolly that were visitors from Curtisville to Hogan's Gap.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So even though it didn't annoy me initially, as a whole, I can't recommend this story.
Gamer, your final verdict?
So overall, I can't recommend this story. To quote Mikey, unfortunately. Like nearly every chapter introduces new characters, and with the length of this, the number is nearing triple digits of characters, which is, I think, completely overkill. While that does, as I mentioned before, make the world feel more alive, it's just hard to follow, which is my biggest problem with the story. It's really hard to follow because it jumps around between like 4 or 5 stories that are big enough to be their own story just by themselves. And while I'm reading these, I'm assuming that they're all mentioned to us in drip feed formation because they're all connected, and by the end of them, they're all going to be tied up. It's like, oh, okay, we were learning about Tulagak because of this, but no, like they're not really connected. So it's like a massive time investment to get through all this, and for a conclusion which is incomplete technically the way it feels, like, because the story just stops. It doesn't end. Like, we want to know what happened to Lolly. Like, we're assuming the demons flew off in dragon form and dealt with her because that's what they did, but we didn't see it. Like,
yeah, like we heard something in the bushes. We're presuming that's her getting her comeuppance, but we don't actually see it. And then the next time we see those bushes, severed hands, possibly Lolly's because of their description, like chubby hands and kind of pinkish, or like opening like one of the basement windows into the hotel and then slipping it. But why are they going into this hotel? Why are they harassing Gerhardt and Wilkie? Like, what did they do to Lolly that pissed her, that has these reanimated hands like pissing her off? Are they even Lolly's hands? Like, yeah.
I don't know. Because, yeah, the whole point of this story was Ellery saying, I want her cursed, this is why. And that question was not, it's not a question, but that statement wasn't justified by also, the end of this.
Like, Ellery wanted her cursed. It sounds like Ellery wanted Lolly cursed, but it sounds like Lolly was cursed already.
Oh, yeah.
Like
through multiple different ways.
Yeah, like there were several curses on Lolly, and some of them were self-inflicted. Yeah, self-inflicted. Yeah,
for sure.
So it's like it made Ellery's whole like revenge plot thing kind of superfluous and a little petty.
For sure. Like, as we've said multiple times through these weeks of reading this story, Lolly doesn't seem like she's the villain in this, like Ellery does, or the world does.
Yeah, I mean, like I can see like Lolly being a villainess because she's wanting to get back at people and stuff like that, or she has this delusion, but she's less of like a cut and dry like oh no, like she's clearly evil villain, and she's more of like a victim, like sort of a victimized villain, like a villain that was created as a product of her environment.
Yeah. She's like misunderstood and having all these like issues dealing with things, and instead of getting like help, she just gets a bunch of flack from everyone.
Yeah.
And ends up getting demons that are potentially messing with her, and then
because of like how people treated her, she resorted to black magic to try and make herself feel better, and they just kind of fed on her delusion so that they could eat her soul and basically rip her apart.
But yeah, overall, I feel like the story would be a lot more digestible if it's split up. One for Ellery telling the stories, one that follows Lolly, and one that follows Grandma Esme's house. Like, those are the main 3 ones.
Yeah, like, even if you wanted to, like, take Tulagok and, like, Kiki's, like, whole story, and, like, if they were the ones that summoned the Rose Prince, like, to the world, or like, to this section and some of that, like, or hell, have Kiki and Tulagok, maybe the grimoire they found was originally Lolly's, because remember, like, she was dabbling with grimoires and they were taken from her. Well, where did those books end up? Like, maybe, like, they found the grimoire, like, in like a garbage can or something like that, like outside of the McLaren residence or something. But like that, like, there needs to be more of a connection than what we got, I think, for it to be placed still in the story with this main plot, which is Lolly being like Lolly getting cursed, or being cursed and having these things like attack her and stuff like that.
Yeah, like the whole book could be a series of incantations, all for the Rose Prince. Like, if you want any of these things, summon the Rose Prince. He'll get them for you. It's just, you're not going to like it.
Yeah.
Like, if that's the case, and it was Lolly's book, that does connect it a lot better. But there's so many loose threads flailing all over the place. It's hard to keep track and connect these things. We have to do a lot of headcanoning. Yeah. It's hard.
Yep.
But yeah, all the different stories, like, they didn't really have big revelations to each other. And as you mentioned, the phone call at the end, which I guess was meant to be like a revelation that she's undead the whole time, it didn't really hit very well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's unclear. That is that's the quickest description I can give this entire story. Is it's unclear what happens. And because of that, I can't really recommend it in its state. It's too much of a time investment to be confused and unfortunately left unsatisfied at the end.
Yep.
Which I hate saying, because Curtisville is a fun series of stories.
Yeah,
just this
exactly,
one did not sit well.
And now I feel like the bad guy. Like, I feel like we're the bad guy now, because like it's like like we've invested so much into reading these stories, and then like, and this is what we're coming down to. It's like,
we're allowed to not like something, you know.
I know, I'm aware.
Just because we're bad guys doesn't mean that we have to be bad guys.
Yeah, fair. But yeah, I guess that'll do it for this week's episode, for this month's series of episodes. The Visitor from Curtisville. If you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted. Pratt99, I am sorry.
We are sorry.
Yeah, we are sorry.
We are
it's just how the it's just how the dice roll sometimes, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Because we can see like how much time and effort you put into this just because of the word count alone.
Yeah. And again,
so
like,
we appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we love the Curtisville setting, and a lot of the stories, lots of parts of the stories, even the ones we don't like. Like, again, like, there's sections of this story I adore.
Oh, for sure.
Just, there's like the story as a whole kind of doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, to get a hold of us and such, some of us are on Blue Sky. Mikey's at the E Stands for Evil. I'm at Review Cultist. You can also send us emails at aldentebrigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com. Where you can also leave suggestions for other creepypastas, SCPs, spooky things. You creep it, we'll peep it. Yeah. And if you'd like to help support our show financially, you can go to Patreon. We have special episodes, early access, and extra content. To all our patrons helping support the show, thank you immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay. And as always, we very much appreciate that. And to our listeners and the authors of these stories, thank you immensely, because without your listenership, it'd be like screaming into the void. And without your authorship, without these stories that you write, again, want to reiterate, we adore the Curtisville stories. We absolutely do. We're sorry we didn't like the tail end of this one. But if you weren't writing these stories and posting them online for people to get spooked at or marveled at, for people to read and enjoy, we really wouldn't have much of a show because we'd have nothing to talk about. So thank you. Now's a good time to mention that we are part of a podcast network, Crit in the Night, an actual play and creepypasta podcast network. We're there alongside our sister podcast, One Less Die, and our cousin podcast, The Role Playing Exchange. Or was it our sister podcast and her brother Thomas, who
It's hard to know.
Who's a violin podcast.
Yeah.
For things that go crit in the night. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well.
And happy Halloween.